the headline for me is 2 mistakes wrecked a good performance. This is Cambridge. Shane McLaughlin and his mates, Mr. Brophy, formerly of Swindon, a very experienced, done it before League Two side with better budget, at third in the table, came to play, and effectively we nullified them. Might not feel it, but we did. And I think the way that we set up and the players that we chose, we omitted Spellman, brought in CBR, who had a very decent performance, potentially unfit. It strangely worked. A flat back four, Cam Evans being their gatekeeper, the Biggin Sprangler axis doing what it wanted to do, what it needed to do, and a sort of strange, fluid, ever-changing position-wise of Ben Lloyd, CBR and Kroll up front wherever they ended up. It was a bit odd, but it worked. It worked for 65 minutes until 2 mistakes. And the start of that rot, which you can't blame the management for this at all. We tried to start without him until Mr. Davis got crocked and Mr. Glennon had to come on. Well, Mr. Glennon struggles to defend, doesn't he? Because I'm sure he's here for lovely free kicks and lovely corners and lovely set pieces, but situational awareness he does not have. And my God, was it pointed? Now, I've often sort of thought that whatever scouting system exists in League Two, we are very well scouted. People do know about this weakness whenever he's on the pitch. And you could see it. The way that Cambridge pushed forward all of a sudden changed the second he came on the pitch, and they started to attack the Glennon side. And if they didn't attack it, all their crossing balls would very much be large and looping to a far post, of which he was supposed to be the steward of. And wouldn't you know who won the pony? Guess how they scored? Exactly that. Long and looping, far post, Glennon, absolutely situationally and blissfully unaware of who was around him, pocket picked, goal, tapping, easy, frustrating. All that hard work to keep a very organised team out, wrecked by someone that just simply doesn't have the defensive nous of a typical left back that you need. I would much rather Shepherd, but how is his legs? Where is he? He is unfit or injured or whatever it is. It's not working. So we were caught, not on purpose. I'm sure Davis would have had a bit of a better stint. But Glennon the mistake, and then the less said about the goalkeeping, the better for the mistake for the second goal. Palmed out when it should have been caught. It was a bit of a comedy, of which the Cambridge away fans and the man who stood practically naked at the front of it, waving around his belly and his shirt, thoroughly enjoyed. It was comedy to them, an absolute misery for us, and it was a shame, really. I feel that the season is still in our hands. We are not adrift. We are, yes, we're bang bottom, but we're not adrift. It's still within our hands. We have 13 games to turn this around, and we always knew that this fixture crunch was going to be insanely difficult. But when 2 mistakes cost you, and you start to hear pointed shouting and berating from people that are usually quite sedentary in the Hazel towards certain players, it's starting to sour and things are starting to get desperate. And things need to be turned around. But actually, for being holistically scientific about it, I couldn't find too much wrong with the first 65. Yeah, it is the same old story. How do we create chances? We barely do. But not conceding soft goals and not making mistakes, doing the simple things, we're being pretty good with. And that's a good sign against lesser sides as we go into the crunch of the final 10 games. So I'm not as despondent, right? The squad quality is not good enough to stay in this league, and that is the end of that. But should we show some spirit and some sort of organisation and just doing the sensible things by picking the right starting 11, I think we might be okay. But that depends a whole lot on Crawley being pants and Barrow being pants, and there's a lot of swell going around. But in essence, 13 games, it's in our hands. Whew.